Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wealth and Wellness Network, the show that empowers women to reach their greatest income potential using wellness practices that promote prosperity. My name is Letitia Johnson, and I am your Wealth and Wellness host. I am so excited this morning. I hope you all had your morning coffee because this is going to be a dynamic show. I am so delighted to be having a very strong, articulate, very powerful businesswoman here today on the show with me. You're totally in for a treat. Trust me. So if you're tuning in for the first time, Wealth and Wellness Network focuses on mind, body, spirit, and how those components impact your income. So let's talk about that a little bit, because most people don't put both wellness and wealth in the same class. And when you talk about your spirit, that there doesn't really seem to be a correlation, or so most people think. So one of my favorite all-time motivational speakers, Zig Ziglar, actually has a quote that I love, and it is so important that we understand this because it'll help us in our businesses, in our finances, and actually in our overall well-being. So I quote, "Spirit is the most valuable asset, more than money and any other power." Very powerful. That's great. Let me repeat that because that was good. Spirit is the most valuable asset, more than money and any other power. So we're going to get a little bit more into that because the person I have here today, she is going to break that thing down and help you really understand and grasp it. One of my favorites as far as the finance world is Robert Kiyosaki. For those who don't know, he's the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's a personal finance guru. He's in real estate. He's dynamic. He talks about this a lot too, about just transforming your mind and your spirit and things like that. So one of my favorite quotes from him is, it says, "Before you can transform your wallet from poor to rich, you've got to transform your spirit from poor to rich." So good. So to help me help you better understand how the transformation from your spirit can benefit you in the areas of your finances, I want you to help me give a warm round of applause to a very special person. Talented, successful, but humble at the same time. It's my pleasure to introduce to the show, live in the studio, Tia Johnson. How are you today, girl?
Doing wonderful. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. And let me just, ladies, for those who are listening, let me just give you some background about Tia. Now, I mentioned she's very humble, but wait until you hear these accolades. A spiritual mentor, international speaker, and best-selling author, Tia loves to help spiritually centered people crack the code of their intuitive gifts and overcome energetic blocks. She does this by providing the clarity they need and intuitive solutions so that they can lead a phenomenal life they'll love. Spoken at the Mind Body Spirit Expo, Diva Girl Conference, Women's Empowerment Conference, Perry Cruise, and Positively Charged. Tia has been featured in Suburban Life and I Am Woman magazines, and I can attest because I've actually experienced some of Tia's work, and she is very good at what she does. She's very dynamic in her role. So I'm so excited to have her on the phone today, on the show today. And let's get started by jumping into how is it that we can utilize this transformation of spirit to help benefit us and when it comes to our money and our business. Talk a little bit about that, if you will.
Absolutely. It has a lot to do with perception. If that was the one key word I would say that would really help understand what Zig Ziglar and Robert Kiyosaki was talking about is that essentially perspective, the perspective of your spirit, the perspective of your mind. When we can accounts and think, okay, maybe I have excuse me, $100 in my bank account. Somewhere in the world, that's $1,000 in some other currency, or even in my city, somewhere, someone wished they had $100. So when it comes to money and when we incorporate spirit, it's that belief that, okay, money is energy. So if I am using this energy in a positive way, then I'm able to fully understand its purpose and fully embrace it. Because remember, money is short term in some aspects. If you want to get like really on the spiritual side, our spirit is forever. So as long as we have that perspective of, okay, money is a part of my universe. I'm not in the universe of money. Money doesn't own me. It's my perspective of things, my ability to understand the value of my money, the buying power of my money based on my perception.
Oh, that's so good. And let's talk about a little bit about how you got started on your journey of spirituality and why you're so passionate about helping people really tap into their inner power through spiritual wellness.
That's a wonderful question that I love, love, love to answer. And I actually just wrote about this on my Instagram page. It started back at 2008. So from 2008 to 2010, I went on a healing journey, a spiritual healing journey. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time, but by the end, I was able to understand what I was doing. And the reason why I went on that healing journey was because my grandmother had passed away from cancer. By the time we found out she had cancer, she was already at stage 4. And so she passed away in 2006. And about a year and a half after that, my papa passed away. And he was a veteran, so he would spend a lot of time at the VA, and he's ended up dying of a broken heart. So when he passed away, I embarked on that 2-year healing journey to find out what the heck just happened in my life, who I am, and what I'm truly meant to do. Because up until their deaths, I was really living for the accolades and living for other people. I wasn't living too much for Tia. I had an active social life, got a nice paying job, got a degree, but I still felt like something was missing. It was that spiritual element. So that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. I realized that being spiritual isn't something that you can necessarily put your finger on and touch. It's the feeling that you get. It's the things that you go through. And when you slowly watch someone you die, or excuse me, when you slowly watch someone who you care about die during a 2-year period and isn't anything you do about it, it really puts life in perspective. It makes you not worry about the small stuff. So that's why I do what I do. And that's why I especially love helping women. I'm a woman. I understand what women go through. So that's why I'm really passionate about it. I understand that life is precious, that we need to utilize every single moment of our life to working towards our goals.
Oh, that's really good. That's awesome. And something you said that was very profound, and especially since our audience is women, especially women in business. You mentioned living for ourselves. Can you really expand on how important that is spiritually, living for ourselves? And because we're women, and a lot of times we multitask and we're doing so much, and it can be difficult to put ourselves first. So can you elaborate how that actually helps us spiritually?
Oh, yeah. So living for ourselves really has to do with breaking a lot of mindset issues and society concerns. And I almost laugh at that because it's true. I have some friends who uh, decided when they wanted to have a kid, and it was really when they were 30 and beyond, not when they were in their early 20s or mid 20s for that matter. And they're really doing things on their term, but they face some backlash in a way because people were expecting them to do things earlier. They, so it's the whole society aspect of, are you going to have kids? Why didn't you have kids yet? Or, people don't live like that. And, I've noticed that a lot of people who I'm surrounded with, especially women, are living according to themselves. If they want to live their life a certain way, that's what they're choosing. They're not letting society tell them how they should be living. And one example I give is when women has tattoos. Several of my friends have tattoos. They love it. It has meaning to them. And if you study the history of tattoos, you'll learn that it's a whole cultural, historical, sometimes rite of passage to them. And sometimes people ask them, well, what are you going to do when you get old? And a lot of their responses were, I'm just going to be an awesome grandma. That's always some stories.
I love it.
It's the society part. And then also it's the mindset, it's the, okay, I'm a woman. So, if I decide to become a mom, a wife, there's roles there, being a sister, being, whatever the case would be. We wear so many hats that we want to excel at these areas. We don't want to let our significant other down. We don't want to let our sibling down or our parents down. So we want to be on our A game all the time with them. We want to be on go. So, when we do that, sometimes we forget that we need breaks, and people expect us to be at top notch every single time when it's just a casual setting. So doing that, just breaking the mindset of, yes, I do wear these hats, but I need a timeout. I need to be doing things for me, so that's what really helps our spirit. And those are the reasons why we had the issue, because we're trying to live up to what we believe and what we like to live up to versus, what everyone else thinks we should be living up to.
Right. And that kind of goes a little along with what you were saying about being spiritual. Just like, for example, with me growing up, because I grew up Christian, I always associated that with the religious side of things. But now that I got older and I really understand how it's more than that. It's a whole mind, body, spirit type of thing. It transformed me. So as women in business, as women in general, how can we become more spiritual, and how can we do this to enhance everything in our lives?
Yeah, so for us to be more spiritual, I say start reading a lot of books, start figuring out what works for you. And that's what I did when I started my healing journey. I started to read a lot. And so when my grandmother was living, we used to watch the Montel Williams show. And
I
yeah, I
remember
love
that
Montel
show.
Williams. Yeah. And every Wednesday, he would have his good friend Sylvia Brown come on. So when I was just about to embark on that healing journey, I looked up Sylvia Brown. I ended up finding Colette Baron Reid, and a lot of Colette Baron Reid works resonated with me. And then I started reading more and more and more. So I had to say, start figuring out what works for you. And listeners, you can just start off with Googling spiritual books for business women, because I want you to find something that works for you. I don't want you to, go directly to the influencers, the A-listers, and think, okay, that's it. I want you to organically find them. And I want you to see if that works for you and then apply it. I don't want people to just go to one person and swear by them, and I feel like they're living up again to something else when that doesn't really resonate with them. So I say start reading a lot. You can Google loads of keywords. You can start one place and then work your way from there.
Nice. Now I want to this next question is going to be a little interesting, because what prompted me to ask you this is from your book, How to Get to the Point in Your Life. Love that book, by the way. Definitely pick up that book if you never did, by Tia Johnson. It talks a lot about, it asks a lot of questions. And I feel like women in business, we kind of just do things and we don't really think about if certain decisions that we make are beneficial to our bottom line or beneficial to our health and things like that. So I wanted to kind of talk about you asked a question that I think is a very vast question, but it's really important that we think about this, and it was, what's the point of my life? and and I wanted to kind of get your take on, how do we as women, especially women in business or mompreneurs, how do we figure that out when we have so many things chipping at our time and we're so involved in different things? How do we really figure out what's the point of our lives?
Yeah, I love that you asked that question. Thank you. What prompted me to write that question is because when I was a kid, there were so many things I wanted to do. I had wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to sell flowers. I wanted to, and I still have some of these sketches, be a fashion designer. Like I was following Gianni Versace to, no
Love it.
end. There were so many things I wanted to do. And as I got older, I realized that people live very, very different lives. And what really triggered that was when I was watching the Oscars, and some of the actors were saying they were going to the after party, but it was, I think, a Sunday or something like that. And I thought to myself, don't you have to work tomorrow? And then I remember, I think it was, yeah, Renee Zellweger, she was saying that she was taking a year off. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, how is she going to make her money? And so I began to think, okay, so this isn't a unison, 9 to 5. That's not true. So what I gathered when I became an adult, so crazy how time flies, is that I had to ask myself, what do I truly want from life? And what do I truly want to do? So when I asked the question, what is the purpose of my life? Like, what is the purpose? How do I get there? What's the point in my life? Is what do I truly want to do? How do I see myself, as part of the end game? I was telling my friend in high school, we had honors accounting, and she would pick with me because I said, by the time I'm 40, I want to retire. And she's like, no one does that. It's just, how do you want your life? Okay, so from 40 beyond, all right, so say we're in our 20s and 30s right now, we're working hard, 40 beyond, how do you picture yourself? I picture myself hosting retreats, reading more books, living in different houses. So you really have to ask yourself, how do you picture yourself going forward, but after a certain age?
Mm.
That would really put it in perspective. Okay, well, what do you truly want to do? How do you want to do it? So it's really another series of questions, but I'm asking you to visualize what you want to do.
Mm. And speaking of that, can you kind of go into some of the spiritual, I know you do a number of spiritual practices, but what are some, or that one thing that is starting or embarking on this spiritual journey to improve their lives? What is that one thing or series of things they can start doing to enhance themselves in this area?
Oh, I can tell you what I do, because it compounds. So if they want to start with one thing I would suggest is, before you get out of bed, is to say all the things that you're grateful for.
Mm.
It works like a charm. So I wake up and I'll just say, I'm thankful to be in this bed. I'm thankful that I can walk. It could be the simple things. And then after that, I encourage people to be their own cheerleader. Pump yourself up. I saw a video, it wasn't even a full video, it was a clip of Jay-Z, how he was just saying, believe you're the best before anybody else does. And he was saying how his uncle said, how are you going to sell a million records? Well, I don't know, but I'm going to sell a million records. And he said, in his lyric, he said, I sold a million records about a million times, So it's just, you have to hype yourself up, be your own cheerleader. I have in my bathroom, the medicine cabinets, you pull out the mirrors. So it's mirrors on either side of me and mirror in front of me. And I have a conversation with myself. So I show gratitude, I cheerlead, and then I have pep talks, so that can really help, the business women get in touch with their spirituality. And it's simple, it's easy. You can do this even while you're brushing your teeth. You can just say, yeah, I'm going to get it today. I'm going to finish that project. I'm going to complete that Excel spreadsheet, things like that. But it really starts with gratitude and just again, pumping yourself up, being your own cheerleader, believing you're the GOAT before anybody else does. So, keep that in mind, because there are many queens, there are many cooks, there are many TV shows. It doesn't mean that you can't have an awesome TV show too. It doesn't mean you can't be greatest of all time too. So, keep that in mind while you're giving yourself those pep talks.
That was so good. We really talk so much about that on Wealth and Wellness Network. That's one of the things that I know have made a huge difference for me, is just waking up and making sure that's the first thing that I do, is talk about my gratitude, just different things I'm grateful for. It has made a world of difference. So thank you so much for sharing that. So quick question for you. So tell us a little bit more. I'm so excited about this summit. So tell us a little bit more about the Creativepreneurs Summit at Sea. I know we're shifting gears, but can you just elaborate on that? Because it's such a phenomenal event.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I hope to see as many people there, because it's going to be so much fun. So the idea, well, actually, this goes back to last year. So my co-host, Candy Conda, she's a branding specialist and Hall of Famer and author. She was on the cruise last year. So we were on a cruise that helped people live streaming. So we had entrepreneurs on there, and I sat on a panel and we talked. We had so much fun that we decided to co-host our own this year. So last year we got derailed because of Hurricane Matthew. So we were going to go to Bahamas, but we ended up going to Cozumel, Mexico. So this is like part of our redemption too. So the Creativepreneur Summit at Sea is all about helping speakers, authors, and live streamers expand their brand. So if you are someone who's looking to become more comfortable with live streaming, because we get it, you're talking to people and you don't see them. So that can be a little bit uncomfortable. So, and if you're an author, you have a manuscript or you need ideas, this is definitely for you. We have seasoned authors who will be on a panel. One author actually won a literary award, so she's amazing. And then the speakers. So we're going to help you to really develop your speaking platform, help you get comfortable with speaking, what to do with your hands, how to find your audience, all that. So it's from August 28th to September 1st. We are going to the Bahamas, leaving out of the port of Miami. Miami is so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So just like I want a house there.
Exactly. We'll be neighbors.
Right. Yeah, exactly. With my yacht in the back.
Exactly. Infinity pool.
Right. Exactly. We'll be leaving out the port of Miami, going to Nassau. Yeah, Coco Cay in Florida. So each day, and the first day is meet and greet. We want to get to know you guys. So we don't want this summit to be I sit down, listen to these speakers, and I don't even get a chance to talk to them. This is very up close and personal. We are only going to have the summit for a couple hours in the morning, because we want you guys to enjoy the cruise. Royal Caribbean has tons of amazing stuff for you guys to do there. Plus, we will be in the Bahamas, so we want you to experience the Bahamas as well. Day 2 is all about building your speaker's platform and elevator pitch. Day 3 is a productive breakfast meet. So we will get together during breakfast. We'll talk about day 2. Any other questions? We will already be in the Bahamas. So, you have the full day to enjoy yourself there. Then day 4 is to build your live streaming universe and authors roundtable and competition. So that's what we have lined up for you guys.
Very nice. So before we get out of here, I'm going to do something. It's kind of it's something new that I am doing, because our audience is a collaborative community. So I am going to ask you a series of questions. I call it the lightning round. Now, don't be nervous. Now I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, fun. Ding, 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 lightning round.
Some of the questions are going to be a little odd, but it's going to be so much fun, because when we talk about just money and just getting well-being and being your better overall self, sometimes it's a sensitive subject. So we like to make things really fun around here, so people can let their hair down and really consume the content and the information so they can be better. So here we go. Are you ready?
All right, cracking knuckles.
All right, here we go. If you could be any animal, what would you be and why?
I would be an eagle because I would be able to fly anywhere.
Nice. If you were stranded on an island, what would be that one thing you would bring?
Can I bring my celebrity crush?
You can bring whatever you want. Who is it?
Bring my celebrity crush.
Who is
We'll
it?
figure out everything else when we get on that.
Love that. What is your superpower?
I can listen without being biased.
Nice. That's a strength. Awesome. And then what is that one spiritual tip that you would encourage women to apply so they can enhance their wealth and wellness?
Always trust their intuition.
You made it through. See, that was easy. Well, there you have it, everyone. Tia Johnson. Now, Tia, can you share with our listeners how they can learn more about what you are doing and your Creativepreneurs Summit at Sea?
Yeah, so they can learn more about what I'm doing by connecting with me on Instagram. My Instagram is Tia_Johnson_. And my website is TiaMarieJohnson.com. If you're interested in attending the Creativepreneur Summit or being a panelist on the summit, all you have to do is just send an email to summitcruise@gmail.com. That's SUMMITCRUISE@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, everyone. The amazing Tia Johnson. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure having you on the show. Really appreciate it. And be sure that you follow Tia and get some more spiritual tips and also register for the Summit at Sea. I hope to see you there. And well, that's all the time we have for today, everyone. For past shows, visit wealthandwellnessnetwork.com. Again, wealthandwellnessnetwork.com. And thanks so much for taking the time to meet with us again today. We'll see you next week. Join us each and every Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, have a productive week and make sure you are being wealth and wellness.